if we were sparring and I approached him like this, he's just gonna, well, yeah, first off, he can do that, but he could take me out in one go, right? If I just, well, yeah, but I do that. So you gotta stop me from stabbing you. But he would just counter thrust me, right? Boom, dead, over. And do that again, and stop as you make contact. Look.
Yeah, you're screwed.
I'm totally screwed. I was saying that in the net. I didn't feel it again. I'm not wearing it. But, right? Like I'm fucking stuck here. So, when you see somebody doing this, either they're new and they don't know what they're doing and they're going to eat shit in a second, or there's somebody experienced who wants to bait. Go ahead, do it again. Back. I dropped it real quick, backed up, and caught him in the hand.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is just douchey.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
Douchey counts.
douchey counts.
Douchey wins.
Douchey definitely. So you don't want to do this, right? But people do this because they want windshield wiper defense, right? I want to be able to swat away anything that's coming at me, right? Okay, so I'm going to do this to Omar. I'm going to use a windshield wiper defense, and he's just going to come through it, right? Ow, get my hand. Get up, got hand in. Got my arm, right? And I'm not doing anything to stop him from wanting to attack me, because I'm purely defensive. Right? So what we're attempting to do, and you work through the cuts a bit more, so what we're attempting to do is Omar will now cut into my sword as I cut out his head. I'm going to cut out his head at speed. Stop it dead, like I hit a fucking wall, right? And he's got the advantage. He's won the center. And look, I'm screwed again. So we end up in the same spot.
Yeah.
That's why cuts as covers are a good idea. Now, Omar will cut at me and I'll cut more directly at him. Now I got hit in the arm. But I hit him in the head. So, ow, I've been injured. And he's, lying on the ground.
That's my usual position. Hit me again and I'll bleed on you. This was a flesh wound.
So, if he wants to take a purely defensive stance, he'll just cut as covers. Don't attack back, just defend. But if he retreats and maintains cutting into my blade, instead of just windshield wipering, he can maintain a pretty good defense even under quite a stern barrage. Ready? Barrage cut. Ready? Okay.
Yep.
Direct shot, right at his head. I had to measure too. Leaning back and cutting into it, just stopping his head. I had no chance. I'm not going to get through that. I am just not going to get through that. So using cuts as covers against me while keeping his distance, which means I don't make any progress. I'm still at the same measure. He can, as long as he can keep that up, he'll survive. So that's why we teach it as the first thing we do with swords is cuts as covers. To start here, you were going to do it anyway, and the guy comes at you, you cut back. But instead of cutting at my face, Omar's cutting at my right shoulder. And that way he wins the center. Right? He's in the middle now. And I've made the distance. So as long as he keeps my sword like this, and he's only got a second before I can do that. Right, he'll move, or he'll just, from there, you just step that way and okay, right? As long as he doesn't just freeze and go, oh, hey, I'm winning, right? He's in good shape. So, and we'll get into, well, then why bother cutting at him, right? Because the reality is, if I cut with speed, with proper technique, and at the right measure, it's a near thing for Omar to be able to cut back and get it in time, right? As an example, so just so you know, hold for a second. For the distance, right? I'm within distance. You're here, right? I'm in a good spot. So he knows this, and he knows I'm going to cut at him. He knows everything. So he should be able to get this, right? Yeah.
I heard it go off my mouth.
Let's do it again.
Got me again.
You don't have to be strong, but be fast. Omar made a great cover. Omar knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for years. But if he waits for me, and I get all the time in the world to set up and get my distance right, and I use proper technique, and I do it quickly, not hard, he doesn't quite have enough time for me. And that's the objective. Part of the reason there's no countdown, I'm not giving you any clues at all. No. You got more, but that time I think I still got you.
Did you?
So I wouldn't have that.
You didn't hit his head at all.
I didn't get there?
No.
He stopped up there?
Yeah.
There you go. Good.
So
But-
I put it out more instead of keeping it.
Yeah, you're actually blocking the crown guard.
Yeah, I was thinking crown guard getting from here to,
Right. Try to cut out.
that's because I know what cut he's going to deliver.
That's a good point.
So if I don't know what cut he's going to deliver, I can't do the thing that's made for that cut alone.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. So do your crown guard again. We'll see if we get the timing this time. Grab the middle cut. that just makes your point, right? That was not the cut you expected. So it would stop here and the middle cut goes around. That's what a middle cut's for. The only thing it's for. It's actually a pretty shitty cut. Because all Homer has to do is this and block it. If I do a middle cut, anywhere along here is easy, right? The downside to a middle cut is if I'm moving. He's moving, but he missed his head. So stand statically, please. Okay. Right. Around it.
I heard that.
Caught inside that. Try it this time with a cut, rather than going for a crown guard. Try to snap out. So get in, guard the lady, with your arms in a good spot. I'll cut at you the same way I did before, with a straight downward cut. With a straight downward cut, and see if you can cut into it in time. Ready? Cut a little bit more towards me.
Okay.
Made that. You caught me earlier in my, sorry, you hit me on about here. So there's very little chance of me being able to power through and get so close to your head. But it cuts a little bit better. Rather than a stoppage, cutting at it intercepts me sooner. Two advantages. One is you're safer. I'm less close to your face, which is advantageous. But also you catch me at the beginning of my power band. I haven't yet accelerated to a really dangerous point yet. So you kind of stop me sooner. One of the other advantages is cut again. I'll go a little slower this time so you can see the dynamic. If I was meaning to cut his head right off, or just split it in two, that happens. Right? Well, unless we're fighting linoleum, I go into the ground. And I don't know how many times you've seen it, Barry. Somebody go, he backs up and they go, they're sort of stuck in the ground. Right? I don't know how many guys have seen a real nervous over this calling. You see guys like this, they're all like this, and they go, in the ground, swing, and the sword's gone.
I could feel the impact when I cut into him, but it didn't feel like it bounced in my hand. But if he's saying it bounced out of his, then you gotta go with that, right?
So a cut as a cover is probably the best kind of cover, if you can manage it. Right? Because like Omar raised a really good point. If you do this, you're stuck with whatever this best covers. And if I do a middle cut or something unexpected, these kind of shut out a lot, right? And a lot of people you'll find you fight against, if they're here in guard the lady, or if they're Germans on powder, or something like that, on the right-hand side, 99.9% of the time they're going to do better, right? The reality is, that from here, I could attack Omar all kinds of times. I could go like this. Right? Yeah. I could go like this. I could go like this. I could even go like this. Attack from the other side. Just come up and go over my head. Right? I caught myself with my crossguard, my head's from YouTube. That's not good. That's this way. Yeah. Hal does that all the time. He's left. Yeah. Oh, perfect.
see would go with it.
Yeah, and it sucks.
So I'll try that one and I'll just cut at it like it's a regular thing.
The one on this side? Because we're in the same plane as how he's cutting. You know it's cutting, right?
Yeah. And you gotta be, yeah, I saw it wasn't coming out so much, so I think I pulled it back.
Yeah. You should,
Otherwise, I think I would have gone past you.
when you're defending, when you're attacking, your target is here. When you're defending, your target shifts to the shoulder that the attack is coming from. That's where you're aiming at. You're not aiming here. Because if Omar attacks me from here, roll this way a little bit so Scott can watch what's happening from behind you. So make your cut normally into my head. Donk, okay? Now, if he cuts at me and I cut in exactly the same line for his head to intercept the blade, it goes like this. Ah. But if I cut over his right shoulder, right? So my target shifts. And again, this is all geometry, right? So shifting over like that then means that I'm intercepting him at an angle where he now no longer has a path towards my center. And that's winning the center. Because now I have a straight shot through. And that's where like Omar was doing that winding thing, right? Where he covers and then he winds this. That's why he's winning. Is because at first he got the center, he kept me outside of his middle. And now he's keeping me to the outside while using that center line. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can do this, but this takes all the time. And he's still coming and putting more and more of that sword in through me while I'm doing all this shit, right? So it's just over. Okay, so that's the rationale behind why we do this. Okay, so